Good afternoon and welcome to the Whiskey Lovers Society with me, Gert Retief. Today, a little bit of a special Belgian whiskey. I've been carrying this whiskey with me for the last couple of weeks, traveling from country to country, and this was one of those last picks, always being picked to be the last team member in your team, because maybe you're not so sure if it's going to be a good one or not. But of course, I did buy it, so I have to try it. So hoping to find something special in Belgium. And of course, it's called the Sunken still Belgium Rye Whiskey. It is produced by Verliers Distillery in Belgium. It is a Belgium single rye whiskey, bottled at 45% ABV. Only about 2,050 bottles was produced. So this was a bottle from 2016. Of course, it's still available if you do a little bit of digging. Cost, and I think that is the best of this bottle. And in my online store, you only pay €22.50 for the bottle. So quite a exceptionally low price. Only 4 years old. So quite looking forward to it. Although I did pick it last, maybe this is one that I would love and enjoy, and of course buy way more than I should. So onto the whiskey. Color-wise, well, they don't say anything about the color. Didn't do too much of a digging into the whiskey. I don't want anybody else's idea of what I should find in the glass or not. So afterwards, when I do the editing, and I do a lot of editing, a lot of coughing, wheezing, sneezing, and of course then I will add a little bit of additional information if I can find it. 45% ABV, so I presume there will be a little bit of a chill filtration, not sure. Color-wise, not sure if I do add color. 4 years old. It is matured in ex-bourbon casks. I do presume they add a little bit of color. But of course that is a presumption, but for 4 years it's quite a lot of color that came from the cask, so there might be a little bit of color added. But of course at the price point of €22 for a bottle, I really don't mind, and I really don't care if I do add some coloring to it. So on the nose, cheers. Now, maybe this is not the perfect glass for nosing, but sometimes you don't need that over powerful, young, youthful notes when you use a Glencairn, where it tapers up and it does concentrate the nose and the smells a little bit more. So maybe this is the perfect glass for this whiskey, because I like it. So my first impression, not a big drinker of rye whiskey. I only started experiencing rye a couple of years ago, when I started drinking some of the bourbons that do have a rye component. And so I did learn to like it. Some of them I learned to love. So I am quite familiar with some of the rye notes coming out. So definitely on the nose you pick it out as a rye whiskey already. But there's a lovely light, sweet, perfumey notes coming out. I get a little bit of a musk sweets, that little minty musk sweet that's coming out. Reminds me of the sweets that my mom always had. It reminds me a little bit of my mom's handbag. And she always had a handbag. She always had a tissue if you needed one. And she always had some of those pink musk sweets, especially in church. You only have to do one cough and out comes a nice pink sweet for you to stop coughing. So quite a nice memory for me. It do tend to go a little bit sweeter. So when I just poured the sample, it wasn't that sweet, but after 2-3 minutes, the sweetness just start to be elevated. Reminds me also a little bit of a pink cotton candy. That is really nice. I do like the nose. 45%, I thought I'm going to get a little bit more of that alcohol, and especially the youthful alcohol. But I think this white rim glass do help, that it doesn't concentrate so much on the nose. Absolutely fantastic. Before I taste, please remember to like and subscribe. You've come this halfway already, so just consider it. It does help the channel a lot. We are now, I think, at 850 or 60 subscribers already, so moving towards that 1,000. And just as a reminder, once we start getting ad revenue from YouTube, all that money will go to children in South Africa. So please remember to like and subscribe. So taste wise, let's see. Cheers. Definitely a rye, definitely some sweetness in it. Well, actually a lot of sweetness in it. I do still get that pink sweets, that musk sweets coming up. I also get that sweet cotton candy notes in it as well. Let's give it one more taste. Well, I do always say one more, but it never ends at one more. Cheers. It's a little bit of a oaky tannins coming through, and I'm a little bit surprised, only 4 years old. So I'm not sure about the casks, what they are using. But there's definitely a little bit of a bitter note. Not a bad thing. It does need that little bit of a bitter note, because it tends to be quite sweet. And especially in the first sip, very sweet. And then in the aftertaste, you get that little bit of a bitter note, not like a chocolate note. If I have to describe it, maybe something like when you had some freshly squeezed grape juice early in the morning, that little bit of a bitterness in the aftertaste, just to balance the sweetness of it. So quite pleasant actually. Let me just give it, well, try some more. There's a hint of a caramel, maybe going into a little bit of a burnt caramel that can also contribute a little bit to the bitterness, but still very pleasant. Every time you go in, sweetness is really hitting you, rye sweetness, quite nice. Now when I go in, I do get a hint of a orange note, like an orange concentrate on the nose, but just a hint of it, maybe something like an orange liqueur, I can't even name it, Cointreau, maybe a little bit like a Cointreau, but not as strong as that. It is just like somebody open up a bottle of Cointreau next to you, and you just get that little hit of the orange, quite pleasant. What I also do pick up, not on the nose but on the taste, is that little bit of that youthfulness, that 4 years old, so it is a very young whiskey. So you do get a little bit of a rough edge on the taste, a little bit of a sour note coming in on the taste as well, but still not unpleasant. Quite balanced between that roughness, a little bit of a sweetness, a little bit of a sour note, and a little bit of an oaky note that comes in, and I think it's quite well balanced, especially for a 22 euro 4-year-old whiskey. Well balanced, I do like it. So my thoughts on it. Do I like it? Well, let's start with the nose. I love the nose. I love that lightness. I love the sweetness, that perfuminess, and of course the reminder of my fantastic mom, that always the one that has a sweet for you when you cough in church. So for me, on the nose, absolutely perfect. But of course, that is my own preference, my own memory. Some people might not like the nose or the sweetness of it. Well, I know one of my friends will not like all the sweetness coming out. but for me the sweetness is fantastic. On the taste was a little bit of a letdown, but I will explain. So the nose built up an expectation for me. So I was expecting a lot from it. But then if you think about it, for €22, 4 years old, maybe if you bring your expectation down a couple of notches and drink it as a 22-year-old whiskey and not a €200 bottle whiskey. If you bring that concept into your taste, I like it. For that amount of money, it's going to be difficult for you to buy something at this quality. If I look at the Baines, I will maybe, if I remember, to put a link at the end. The Baines whiskey from South Africa. Yes, I am South African, so a little bit of a promotion, but I've also told a couple of my friends to give it a try and they all loved it. And that was even cheaper, I think, in Namibia. I bought a bottle and I think I paid like 11 or 12 euros for a bottle, if I remember correctly. And that was absolutely fantastic. So it reminds me a lot of that. It is possible to buy a cheap whiskey and of course ensuring that there is still high quality spirit in it. So for me, this one definitely something I would recommend. Give it a try. I did an online poll not so long ago and I asked some of the people, what do you want to see? And of course, I was thinking a lot of people were telling me that high-end whiskies, and I was quite surprised. Budget whiskies is in a lot of people's mind, and they are interested in budget whiskies and also in the 50 to 100 euro mark. So those two categories, up to 50 and up to 100, is the category that most people are interested in. So today the budget whiskies is here. Like it? Have you tried it? What do you think about it? Is it something that you would recommend for your friends, for your family? Is it something that you would drink on a daily basis as a quick, easy drinking daily sipper? So thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I see you next time. Cheers.